Welcome back to another episode of Multiblock Madness. We are picking up where we left off with the fusion reactor. Going to give it some proper name. So this is basically how this works. I showed it here, so I'm not gonna like fully show this, but there's also what was the other one I added? I added another one that I'll have to add names for. This might be useful if you're ever thinking about using multi-blocked. Um, but yeah, working on this. It was the receiver block. This is meant to go on top of the energy receiver and the satellite receiver. This block might be replaced. Stellarite, it's kind of a placeholder. Um, Honestly, same with white alloy storage. But yeah. So now it's recipe time. I might just kind of barrel through some recipes and get over my um what would you call that? Perfectionism. Here's my recipe area. This is where I do most of my, or where I have done most of my recipes. You can see that it's quite a lot. Some sorting here, nothing. Yeah. Alright, so here we go. So what we need is the fusion reactor. Well, we'll put this here. This yellow one doesn't really exist. It's just the on state of this. So, fusion reactor glass is required. Go there. And then coil. What else do we need? The tungsten coil in the multi-block is also kind of a um, uh, temporary, because the tier is just doesn't match. So I was just looking at other recipes we need. We need 16, 64, and I was just going up the chain. Look at this. What is going on here? Fourth generation, 1 billion storage? What even is, how many is that? That's craziness. I think there's also, no, what is that? What is it? Disk? Disk something? Discretion. It's not even the AE2. Mm, Actually, the best way to do it would probably be to check the uses for the cell housing. What do we got here? Portable item, sure. Item storage, view cell, portable, spatial. The spatial stuff is awesome. Oh. Wait, no, that's right. I was thinking about giving players formatted spatial storage cells, but I think it's based on a location in world, so that wouldn't work. There we go, found them. Disk drives. That's kind of what I thought it was called. Okay, so it does require it's a different housing, that's why I couldn't see it. So if I recall correctly, these don't have a type limit. So let me bookmark that. This actually requires netherite. Fascinating. This goes up to... Wait, what are these used for? Nothing? Oh, dang. You're not allowed to craft these? Wait a second. Is that right? Let me check if that's been removed. For some reason, it does seem to be removed. I'm not sure why Smart Noob did that. Some of these make sense. Like the 3rd and 4th gen. Event remove. ID item. That's interesting. What's going on here? Because we got pattern provider 13, third. Apparently it's the third gen. All right, I'm just gonna see what the recipes are. I'm guessing there's a good reason for him to do that, but I'm curious. Just crashed the game, so there's that. All right, here we go. The fifth generation. Man, I almost kind of want to fix that. Okay, so question, why did these get removed? I'm gonna have to ask him. Um, advanced block of diamonds. I'm guessing because they weren't hard enough. But why would you hide them? I don't really know. Block of diamonds, disk drives, and there's the thin. So the fifth, okay, yeah, the fifth and sixth one, those were removed. I also don't know why. I'm gonna check these out really quick. Definitely one of the downsides of not uh, prioritizing communication. Dang. 6 rows? 4, 6? Wait. Oh, 5. Okay. Oh, I put them backwards. Gotcha. This is insanity, actually. Yeah, no, I actually agree with that. But I don't know if I agree on storage. Now, to be fair, these don't feel super necessary. Oh, it's the increased amount of types. Okay, okay. Oh, dang. Okay, so regular one can hold 63. Interesting, okay. So these increase the amount of bytes, and then from there it increases the amount of types, because it's capped out on bytes. So that can hold like a stupid amount. So I got rid of the 5th and 6th again. And these ones here, these recipes definitely should be harder. Although, to be honest, it's not cheap. Where are these? Oh no, it's just these. Yeah, so the purple ones go into the purple. They also require controllers, so I mean, that's not nothing. Like, that's fairly pricey. I also just realized this advanced inscriber has no recipes, so I didn't even realize it existed. And I'm guessing it functions exactly like an inscriber. Yeah, I think it's exactly like the old inscriber. Anyway, this is I'll just write that down. So I've kind of been doing a wee bit of writing or typing out like kind of how I want or what's left to do because this is something I've definitely been slacking on. And that way we can actually properly communicate. I know you guys can actually see this. I don't know how to make that better. So maybe I can like shrink the capture. I wonder if I can do that. I wonder if I can like, here you guys can even see this. Got OBS pulled up. I wonder if I can change the size of this. All right, I'm gonna give this a shot. So let's see if this works properly. I can't see that. So let's see. So this is just a test. Is this bigger? Because it looks like it should be. Oh, here we go. Okay, okay. And then if we make this a little bit like that, 2 pixels over. Oh. Okay. So that appears to be a full screen size. That's definitely bigger. All right, neat. That might be more tedious than I want to mess with. Wait. How can I, why is it? That's kind of annoying. Okay, I'm curious to know what happened there. Could also do something like this. I'm guessing you can see it on the bottom there and on the top. Yeah. Alright, so I'm not really sure how well this will work, but I have it set up to where I can change the scene like this. Unfortunately, I can't tell when that's happening. Um, so I would still have to do Alt-Tab, and then I would have to realistically manually switch it. Anyway, pretty much irrelevant. But now you can actually read this hypothetically. So yeah, yeah. So I think I'll mostly use that if there's anything that really I want to showcase in the code. That way I can basically just be like, zoom in. I can actually see like a yellow border around the window when I do that. If I had a second monitor, it'd be a lot easier because I wouldn't need to Alt-Tab or anything. I would just need to just switch. But yeah. I also think for the most part, for now, I'm just going to use 3x3 crafting for all recipes that I add. Probably except the Creative World Shaper. And then go back over it and make them more interesting with different multi-blocks or extended crafting, etc. That being said, I also have these crystals to do. These ones definitely feel like they should get a crafting recipe. But again, the plan right now is just to do stuff. The plan is stuff. Basically, don't freak out about making it perfect. Just get something done. So yeah. And then work on making it make more sense later on. This is something that I've always had. Binary Pulsar is its name now, I think, instead of Hua. To mess with balancing and stuff, I would just kind of be the inspiration guy, just slap things in. But yeah. Alright, there you have it. First round of recipes are done. Some of these I just tweaked, added a couple of new ingredients. But yeah, for the most part, that's pretty close to how it's going to end up. I also added recipes for the components. I ended up nesting these. Where's the elite one? That is the elite. Advanced. I still need to. I think I want to do like a chain recipe for luminescence as opposed to this. We don't have a way to generate luminite yet. That is on the to-do. And yeah, there's a couple other recipes I want to do. Namely, I would say these ones. 16, 64, 2.5, and 1,000,000. I also added a couple of mods. Crafting calculator. I added crafting calculator, morpho tool. What is this? The effortless building, I think it is. Absolutely love this mod. I feel like it was causing issues previously, and that's why I didn't end up with it. But yeah, it's pretty amazing for doing a lot of different builds. And I wish that I had used it for, you can build, yeah, stuff like this with it. Which would have made my my Taurus a lot easier over here. Although I don't actually know if it can be used for something like that. I got a building guide for this. Anyway, that is a couple recipes done. Closer to 1.0. Oh, and a lot of these recipes, or I should say like this recipe for energy crystal, this recipe for AI chip, maybe a couple of the other ones, I kind of want to switch to machine crafting at some point, but for now, again, I just wanted to get something out. Like the AI chip might be end up like a top tier circuit type of a deal, but yeah, we'll see. So I started working on a few quests for ore processing. Hopefully to be a little bit of an intro into like all this stuff. Hopefully make it a little more straightforward for people. I'm still not entirely happy with my tier situation. Currently, the staged alloys are every odd tier. So you can see we've got the magical, structural, electrical, mechanical, and so on. And then you can see we've got tiered or stage 2 and so on. This is an especially noticeable problem for these two. Actually, I need to add this here. Stage 4. Because if you take a look at this, we've got 4 alloys in tier 4. This is why I don't really like it, because we've got 16 alloys of tier 3, 16 alloys of tier 2, 16 alloys of tier 3, which feels excessive, I'm not gonna lie. 32 alloys between just the first 32 plus, what's that, 10? 42 alloys in the first 3 tiers, that just seems excessive. And then we go straight to 4, and then we go back up to 10, primarily because of the staged alloys. And then I think we just have literally 1 tier 6 alloy right now, and then we've got the 4 stages of tier 7 alloys. So an idea I had was, I think cutting some of these just in general might be a good idea. Like these two in particular, don't really know. Like I like having them, for sure. But like some of these, like rose gold, amethyst bronze, like hepatizen could be moved to up a tier. Nether, like these 3 could be moved up a tier and maybe reinforced electrum. Or say like black iron, hepatizen, flux, nether steel could be moved up a tier, and then we could move probably, I don't know if we could move 8 of these. We'd have to move a lot. Netherite, manulin, arcane gold probably. And then I was thinking splitting the stages up in half. So half of them are odd and half of them are even. But then we run into either a tier 0 alloy or like they're all tier 1s right now. And then half of them are tier 2s, tier 4s, and tier 6s. And then the other half are tier 3, 5, and 7, which probably makes the most sense. But yeah. That's probably what I'll end up doing, but it still leaves, yeah, it adds a lot more to these two. Because like these stage 3 would go into stage 4. And then I think, yeah, and then some of these tier 7 alloys would go into stage 6. So it would go backwards a tier. But if we just do it right now, unless we split them up at tier 5 and 7, then we end up with 18 alloys for tier 3, which I really do not want more than 16, like hard cap, no more than 16. I would prefer to have like 10 tops. Anyway, we shall see. Haven't decided exactly what I'm going to do about that, but for now, I'm going to pretend it's not an issue because it's really not. I like having alloys. I make up alloys all the time. I made up a whole spreadsheet so I don't have to worry about it. I can add a new alloy in seconds. So I'm not worrying about it for now. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that it is something I'm thinking about. Um, the oh, I forgot to yeah. Um, just something I'm thinking about. And I also haven't finalized the last tier of refining. And I'm considering reducing the maximum as well. 64 is just, quite frankly, completely unnecessary. Like, the most expensive recipe I have right now is probably that fusion reactor, and it is not that insane. Like, we're talking 10,000 steel, 5,000 compressed, 8,000 zinc, 11,000 nickel, 100,000 iron. I mean, it's definitely like expensive, but if you've seen like some other endgame recipes, it's not that much. Like if you take a look at this steel, I don't know if how well you can see that, but it's 195 stacks and 48. If you were to say 64, we'll just go to iron. Yeah. Well, no, whatever. If you say 64x multiplier, what you're looking at is 159 iron to make that much steel. If you use the 64x, which is overkill at this point. 159 is like 2 stacks and change, 2.5 stacks ish, which is barely anything. Anyway, if you have ore processing or ore generation, it's like beyond insignificant. Like realistically, there's no reason for you to go higher than 8. Like I doubt anybody's going to go higher than 8 at this point. Partially because I feel like this is just going to be complicated. I didn't set this up. I don't know how easy this is to automate, and I can only imagine it's not super easy, especially when you're processing like thousands. So we'll see. We'll see. So that's another thing that I would like to work on. However, that is another thing that is going to be, I would say, a kind of a after 1.0 work on. All right, so I think I've decided to move Signalium and Enderium to tier 4 and tier 5, respectively. So that'll bring us up to 11 tier 5s, I think, and 5 tier 4s. And down to 12 tier 3s, which is still a thing. This might feel, I don't know. It does feel to me a little bit like, why am I still messing with this type of stuff when just do it? Like, why bother with like positioning of like specific alloys? Yeah, it definitely feels that way to me a little bit. But what I'd like to do is make it so things feel just a little bit smoother ramping up, as opposed to just kind of like a awkward jump in like cost, and like mod like stuff, but like a lower complexity. Like I feel like it should be opposite. Like you should have more late game alloys. I mean, I'm not saying I'm gonna try to fill it in, but I feel like there should be, in theory, more late game alloys than early game, because you have access to more stuff. You know, even if it's just like smushing stuff together, like, you know, I don't know, like titanite and adamantine or whatever. Yeah. Oh yeah, and then pyrotheum dust. This is an issue. So this has to be changed. I think blazing redstone is the problem. I think the smartest thing to do would just be to remove blazing redstone from industrial mixing. There we go. Done. Just removed it. Alright, so I've adjusted these again. This looks a lot earlier, but it's actually just a bit earlier. The other two alloys are not in this chapter. The recipes haven't been changed just yet. Pretty much all this requires is just the induction smelter. Loop fabricator is going to be made easier as well, so I'm going to change these out. Alright, so this is the updated chapter 4. Before it used to look kinda weird. I've reorganized and connected pretty much all of these quests, and then the Botania ones are like this. Forgot to mention in the quest book, but this is the new recipe for rocket launch pads. I might change it still, like pretty much everything. Yeah. I've been making 9 right now, but yeah, I might add a couple more ingredients. Okay, this is rebar concrete, which is not particularly difficult. You should already have concrete automated at this point anyway, so we'll see. Rocket nose cone, all this good stuff. Can't remember if I changed anything else, but I don't think so. Blazing redstone, magnesium, other steel. But yeah, so one of the things I did was I moved all the ore processing stuff to down here. The mana compressor is gated behind the rocket, which means that it's by nature gated behind Botania. These still are pretty separate, and honestly I think that's okay. This wasn't connected to the chapter at all. It was only connected to here. So, I mean, I know this is like a small use of it, and I might add something here, like maybe the tanks or I don't know, something. But maybe fuel. Fuel could be fun to have magic. Right now, yeah, this is creosine and fluorite. Yeah. Chapter 5 still needs some work. Right now, this is pretty straightforward, and industrial foregoing is pretty boring. Like, I could do quite a bit more with it. Milk, fertilizer, they're not really used for anything per se. Mechanical dirt. So we'll see about that. This is probably my next task, is to kind of streamline this. This whole thing is almost irrelevant. Industrial foregoing really should get its own chapter, similar to this, I think. Especially with how it's unlocked. But we'll see. We'll see. So yeah, pretty good. I think I might actually switch back to playing after this episode. This is again super simple, but what do we got here? The rocket is a hex, and big. And then the ingot is what? A gear? Looks like the machine is a gear. Machine is a gear. I don't know why that's like that. It should be blast furnace. I guess because this requires the rocket primarily over the blast furnace. Machine deposition chamber. Yeah. So realistically, this should be a gear. And then this gear. And then this. No. This gear. Alright. Really, this is like a 2 gear, though. Cool. And then this is pentagon. So I've got a lot of plans as far as making this the end game. Right now, the goal is just to kind of exist. Like, crafting this isn't... Well, it's actually impossible. I forgot about that. I forgot to add a recipe for that. But, yeah, like, should all be replaced with specialized parts, I would say. More alloys instead of just pure metals. And then, I think that, well, the tier 8 metals, if I decide to keep going with this pack, the tier 8 metals will be unique processing chains each. Like, you know, whole thing. Which, well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. That sounds very fun to me, but it also sounds time consuming and something that I will stress out about probably. So we'll see. I would like to do it. It's not top priority right now. Anyway, so the World Shaper as an item can do things like just create stuff out of thin air. I think you, like, yeah, left click to pick a block. What is it? How do I switch? Left click. Right click. Yeah, so it's really easy to build stuff with it, but to my knowledge, you have to have the block already. And how do you clear this? Anyway, the point is the Creative World Shaper can copy blocks, which means you have infinite of whatever you have that can be turned into a block. However, I would like to have it be used in multi-blocks and recipes. So this recipe, I kind of want to have automatable. So there's that. But again, that is much later on down the road. I do not feel like I have to get that added before I release the pack. That's going to be after 1.0 is Chapter 8 and post-endgame stuff. Like, this is rather lackluster, all things considered, but I don't mind, because it's something. So the only real thing left to do, I would say, is make Dyson power not necessarily, I would say, usable, but give it a couple of different uses. So I've got a couple multi-blocks in mind that I want to use. Like, I want obviously it's used here, but that's like an item rather than power itself. Because, yeah, this is the only way to make it with 512 Dyson tracking chips. And it still takes almost 1,000 seconds. And these are not exactly cheap. This whole thing. Do I have a railgun already? Wait, railgun doesn't have a recipe. Alright, and there we have it, the railgun. Decided to throw in a tiny bit of magic. These pretty pricey, but it's not that bad, all things considered. It does take a lot of iron, which is the main thing. I was like thinking I didn't want everything to take iron, because I feel like that's what's in most packs, which is why I invented these stage, etc. alloys, because they all have different base of tier zeros. Like, I'm pretty sure mechanical alloy is tin based, for example. So take a look. See, we can see it takes tin, which you get tin from various sources. Anyway, yeah. So I guess that's probably it for this. Let me add this to the changelog. All right, that's gonna be it for this episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.